So
I believe it's over to you, Rachel, for
it is over to me for your favourite category. So up next we have the education officer. The education officer will work closely with the advice and representation department to coordinate academic representation, as well as leading on academic campaigns and events. The main aim of the education officer is to improve academic experience and to maintain strong working relationships with relevant university staff and student reps, working with departments and schools such as course reps and senior reps. The education officer also supports the work of 2 of our part-time officers and helps to promote and oversee what they do. We have 5 candidates running for this role. They are Declan Harris, Patricia Burris, I'm struggling to pronounce your second name, I'm very sorry, Archie Kerr, Bethany Nugas, and Israel Opala. Sorry, I'm very dyslexic. Candidates will be spotlighted in that order, and they will each be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves, their manifestos, and answer the following 3 questions. As education officer, you will work extensively with RUSU's representation team. What ideas do you have to help boost the profile and effectiveness of RUSU's academic reps? How can RUSU help to enhance the academic experience of postgraduate students at Reading? What is one aspect of teaching and learning experience that you believe students would like to see improved, and how do you plan to address this? Declan, you will be first. Declan, your time will start once you unmute yourself and begin talking. Again, I will hold up this sign when you have 30 seconds left. Give me a second because I need to get the timer. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Good evening, everyone. I'm Declan, and I'm a 3rd year accounting and finance student, and I'm running to be your education officer. My manifesto is made up of 3 main parts. 1, to campaign for additional learning materials for modules which were affected by the pandemic, including modules which require prior learning from a previous module in your studies. 2, to campaign for better lecture recording facilities for when in-person lectures resume on campus. And 3, to campaign for better communication and transparency within the uni itself. To the 3 questions, to boost the profile of academic reps, I would suggest to departments that they send out frequent emails to students which will tell them who their reps are, and if possible have a sort of who is who board somewhere in the department building, which will tell you who they are, what they look like, and have an email address for you to be able to contact them. I believe that one of the main ways that the student union can help the postgraduate students is by helping with the general communication between the students and the university, and by also generally campaigning for better education quality over the year. And for what I believe most students, based on what I've heard when I've had communication with other students, is that one aspect that they would like to improve is communication. I've frequently spoken to people who have said that they just don't know what's really happening, causing a lot of extra stress. For example, with exams this year, where it's not fully known where all the uncertainties will lie and how they will be run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Patricia, and I do believe Patricia isn't here.
She's had apologies for work, yeah.
So I think, George, are you reading out on behalf of Patricia's?
Yes, I should have the statement. I'll read out Patricia's at the end, so I just need to locate it, so I don't seem to have it in my emails, if that's okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, so next up we have Ashi. Once you've been spotlighted, you will be able to begin, and yeah, just unmute yourself and whenever you're ready.
I think Ashi is not here tonight either. They've had an personal emergency. So we'll move on to the next candidate.
Okay, next we have Bethany. Again, once you've been spotlighted, Bethany, we'll start the timer once you begin talking. So whenever you're ready.
Oh, hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, just want to check. Okay, so hi, I'm Bethany Nugas, and I'm a second year English literature student running for Education Officer. Some of my manifesto points are ensuring a smooth transition back to in-person teaching when the time arises, and this would include putting forth some of the successful things of online teaching and filtering out the things that weren't so successful. Tackling bunching deadlines, so spreading out deadlines where plausible, would create a less stressful working environment and potentially improve quality of work and grades. And lastly, bringing educational expectations closer with student welfare. So I'd like to work quite closely with some of the welfare reps and merge some things to do with education with it, because I believe a good mental health leads to a more enjoyable educational experience. So in improving the effectiveness of academic reps, I believe they should be publicised as soon as they are nominated, with like a picture or something about them to the students they're representing. And I also believe they should have a bi-monthly or every 3-month email where they can contact the students they're representing and tell them what's going on, because sometimes it's not always clear and it keeps everyone in the loop. In enhancing the academic experience of postgraduate students, I do lack in this area because I'm a second year myself, so I don't know too much about postgraduate learning. However, if I got the role, I'd like to create a postgraduate focus group and find out what works well, what's going wrong, and some things I'd like to see, and hopefully work towards those solutions in providing a much better academic experience they can enjoy and be better for them. And lastly, in improving learning experiences for students, I believe recording of lectures, like in-person lectures where they have a microphone or not, and posting them on blackboards so students can go back over and watch them and even reference them in essays. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Israel. Once the timer has begun, what other way around? Once you start talking, the timer will begin. So whenever you're ready. This is another not on the call.
This might be technical difficulties with this one. So
have you found Patricia's?
I have located Patricia's answers. So
all right, George, you have 2 minutes on the clock.
Wait, are you timing me? Oh my lord. Okay.
I will give you 30 seconds of warning.
Right. So just to reiterate, these are Patricia's answers. And she's highlighted them each. So as education officer, you work extensively with Reese's rep team. She answered, I definitely would like to highlight the role of the academic reps through having a form of social media platform for each academic rep, like for officers, where students can actually track and see what the reps are up to behind the scenes and engage with them, as well as meetings, Zoom calls and gatherings to help students understand the role of reps. How can Russo help to enhance the academic experience of postgrad students at Reading? I like to see a mentor scheme that allows a student to contact someone who is already working in their desired career or completed a master's/PhD in the same direction, run virtual fairs specifically designed for postgraduates more often, and run courses, groups, masterclasses that can help postgraduates help build a social and digital presence through LinkedIn if they haven't done so already, and help them boost their profile. What is one aspect of the teaching and learning experience? COVID has made everything a bit upside down. I want to work with students to implement a form of learning that will work for them, whether it is more input and more communication with the lecturers, or having the option to request extra reading or a form of support that will help make students feel more comfortable with the workload and with their degree. Also, finding a way for students to have more engagement on campus that is safe, but still gives the opportunity to live a university life to the best. And that was her answers.
Excellent. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. Did Israel come on the call?
If not, we'll just jump straight into the 3 mystery questions.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Which we shall now be doing. So, education officer candidates that have managed to make it here tonight, it's time for the next set of questions, and you'll have 1 minute to answer. Again, we'll go through candidates in reverse order, and your questions are: how can RUSU ensure students receive value for money from their academic experience? Is study space necessary in a blended learning approach? And how will you utilize student feedback to improve the academic experience? I'll repeat them once more. How can RUSU ensure students receive value for money from their academic experience? Is study space necessary in a blended learning approach? And how will you utilize student feedback to improve the academic experience? So first to speak out of those who are present tonight is Bethany. Once you've been spotlighted, we'll start the timer and you can begin talking. Now been spotlighted, so when you're ready.
Okay, so for the first question, I think it will be working closely with students and hearing what they want, and then hopefully working more and providing what they want, and that's ensuring that they get the value for money and the education they deserve. So obviously there's a lot going on at the moment with COVID and it not quite working out how we best hoped it would. So obviously we need to work towards moving it back into in-person teaching as swiftly as possible and safely, and getting the wagon going again. I think study space is very important in blended learning because you need somewhere to go and somewhere to work through things. And for student feedback, I think we need to listen to students, work with them and act on the feedback the best way possible to bring it in and ensure the best experience for students.
Awesome. Finished with 10 seconds to spare. Thanks, Bethany, for those answers. We will now move on to Aushi. Aushi isn't. Oh, sorry, no, Declan. Apologies.
Yeah.
So Declan, once you've been spotlighted, you'll have. We'll start the timer once you begin talking. You've already been spotlighted, so when you're ready.
Thank you. So, how RUSA will help students receive value for money? Part of the reason why I put in my manifesto about securing extra study materials is because it's always going to be a bit harder to try and get as good value for money, especially with a online or a blended approach. So hopefully the extra materials will be able to help students get better value for money. And so it's just sort of ways like that that will improve the situation generally. I would still consider study space to be a central thing, even in a blended approach. I'm a commuter, so I've been stuck at home for the last, and I'm getting pretty fed up with this, looking at the same four walls, because that's where I spend most of my time when I'm studying. So it would always be nice to have a different view, even if it is just a different set of walls. And how to utilize feedback. Essentially, it's just trying to constantly persuade the uni to act on.
Sorry, Declan, I'm going to have to cut you off there.
No worries.
Apologies, I didn't manage to get the 30-second warning, but that. Thank you very much.
Yes. Quick question: is Israel on the call now? I know there's some technical difficulties earlier.
If he is, then we'll quickly hear his questions for education category. I'm not seeing him.
I can see him, but Israel, if you can hear this, give us a sign.
Oh, awesome. He's been spotted. Okay. Israel, I'll quickly read the blurb for education candidates.
Just the questions, fine. Just
finding where they were. So yeah, the questions we asked the education candidates were, as an education officer, you'll work extensively with RUSU's representation team. What ideas do you have to boost the profile and effectiveness of RUSU academic reps? How can RUSU help to enhance the academic experience of postgraduate students at Reading? What is one aspect of the teaching and learning experience you believe students would most like to see improved, and how do you plan to address this? You have 2 minutes, Israel, so when you're ready, go for it.
Okay, basically, my goal basically is to build books of relationship and also give value for our education. One of the things I basically figure out back in as postgraduate is SMART working group, because I've been basically at home for quite a number of months, and I've not really got the chance to interact with people, share my ideas, brainstorm assignments, projects, and group works. So I feel basically if we can actually create a SMART group, working group, where people from different backgrounds could actually meet, share ideas, work on projects and assignments together, I feel we could basically improve the educational system, and also most of international students don't actually have adequate guidance and extensions on assignment, because they're coming from different countries and they don't really have background in education in UK. So they basically find it difficult to adapt to the system. They basically don't know how to go about assignments. They actually don't have guidance on how to attempt assignments and actually, put one or two things together. So that's one of the things I plan to improve on. And likewise, there ought to be a relationship between the outside world, the educational system. Like one of my goals is to bring an employer-led workshop, like inviting employers in different aspects of the profession and also the academics, which is the students, bringing them together in collaboration with the careers unit. I think it will increase the employability of students after their graduation, especially postgraduate students, as well as international students. So likewise, one of the things also that is lacking is, I think,
sports. So sorry, Israel, I'm going to have to cut you off at this point. Thank you.
We'll quickly jump on to the 3 mystery questions that students pre-submitted for education again. Israel, I'll read these out twice and then you'll answer as soon as you possibly can. And those 3 questions were: how can RUSU ensure students receive value for money from their academic experience? Is study space necessary in a blended learning approach? And how will you utilize student feedback to improve the academic experience? Those 3 questions were: how can RUSU ensure students receive value for money from their academic experience? Is study space necessary in a blended learning approach? How will you utilize student feedback to improve the academic experience? So when you're ready, and you'll have 1 minute to answer those 3 questions.
Basically, what we can do actually, what I would recommend is to give adequate guidance and extensions on assignments, group projects, and exams. Because basically, most of our assignments, the time actually short. So I would actually ensure that more extension is actually given on assignments, projects, and also when it comes to exam. And likewise, carrying out a survey for students to seek their opinion on what they think could actually be done to improve the educational system. Probably what they feel is probably wrong, or what they feel is not adequate. Getting their opinions and probably getting once I get the feedback, then we can actually relate it to the university, and the university can actually implement whatever the students.
Israel, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there as you've run out of time. But thank you very much for being able to make it so after the technical difficulties. Thank you for your answers. Just a reminder to everyone, you can vote for your favorite candidates once voting opens tomorrow. I would keep an eye on social media to see Patricia as well, who wasn't able to make it tonight, and the other candidates who are experiencing technical difficulties, just to rep everyone having a fair chance. But we'll now go over to Rachel for the last of our 5 roles.